Good afternoon, mech warriors, mech techs, and nobles in hiding. We are back, and we have new tunes. Woo! Why do we have new tunes? We have new tunes because someone tried copyright claiming the tunes we were previously using, and they were not the copyright holder. And so I was like, you know what? I don't want to get my YouTube channel shut down. Let's switcheroo. So let us move over to Spotify and see if I have lo-fi. There we are. Now time for our nice relaxing tunes. You'll notice that we've got the little tune display. I will need to fiddle around with that. This song's gross. Only I'm allowed to talk on this channel. And yeah, so we'll need to fiddle around with it, get it in the right place and all that good stuff. But no, they didn't. Thankfully, they didn't try to claim the video. But YouTube was like, hey, these people say they own the music. They're not claiming it yet, but they could do. And I was like, you know what? I think we'll just change the tunes. How is everybody today? I'm particularly doing okay, though I did not have a good night last night. I'm not going to go into all the details because this really isn't the vehicle for it. But you may have previously heard me mention on the stream that we have two turkeys that live with our chickens. Unfortunately, we now only have one turkey. So that was a rough evening finding that out last night as I went to put all the animals to bed. So, unfortunately, one of the turkeys is no longer with us. So, that's Christmas cancelled. Thanksgiving, we've still got Thanksgiving, but Christmas is no longer with us. PS359 says, did someone get hungry? I will say that if someone had gotten hungry, I would actually feel better about it. As I say, this place isn't really the vehicle for talking about stuff like this, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But it was very unfortunate. It looks like it was an accident. Nobody's fault. Nothing that could have been done to stop it. I just wish it hadn't happened. Now, I have noticed that my OBS is kind of chugging right now. Can I just confirm, is the video all coming through okay? Just waiting for the replies to filter in when I get everything set up. Seems so fine. Okay, cool. I think I just need to restart my computer after this. I've been talking to my wife, and we are going to see about getting me a new computer in August. So that I've got looking forward to. And it really comes down to you guys. The very generous donations that you've given me so far through the subscriptions and so forth is kind of enabled me to talk to my wife and see about getting me a new computer, which will help the stream significantly. It will especially help development, just because this computer it's a 2020 model, and it wasn't the best in market in 2020. It's doing its best. It's working a lot better than a bargain Windows computer would have. I will say that much. If this was a Windows computer and not a Mac, it would be in a much worse condition than it is now. But Radar says, at least yours is 2020, mine dates back to 2014. Oof. Yeah, no, but for me, the main thing is that I need it for my MekHQ work, and it's been doing its best for a couple of years now. And it was a data crunching computer before I got it, and we've already had to refurbish it at least once. It's doing its best. It's holding the line. It's doing the good fight, but what I need it for now has outpaced what it can do. So it's also why we stream in 720p rather than 1080. Pink Billy says mine's a ship of Theseus with parts going back to 2012. Yeah, no, so mine's a Mac Mini, so there isn't really much you can do for it. Nightshade 100. I am gonna show my ignorance. and say, I have no idea what cheering is. But I'm really grateful for it, whatever it is. Thank you, Knight. If someone would be so kind to explain what cheering is in chat, I would appreciate that. I know what bits are, okay? I've learned what bits are. I know what subs are. I know what raids are. I still don't know what hype trains are, and I didn't know cheers existed until now. Tira says they swiped their company credit card of mine. Yeah, no, I miss having access to company resources. When I used to do Skyrim modding, I was able to sneakily acquire to use the work computer for Skyrim modding, and it worked smooth as butter if we ignore just all the problems with the Skyrim editor. The Skyrim editor is god-awful. If you can avoid using it, avoid using it. But that was very nice. Knight says, cheers are a fancy way of giving bits. Oh, well, in that case, thank you so much, Knight. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like they need to subscribe or donate to the channel, because that's not really what we're doing here. But every donation, every subscription really is appreciated, and it really does touch my heart. Tira says the secret source is they're the boss. There's a downside. There's a downside to being the boss. It means you're the one you have to ask for days off. And if you're anything like me, you're going to refuse the request. But what are we going to do today? We are actually going to scootle over to Safari. Now, I will confess, I forgot to do all of the stream setup checks this morning, so we might go to the void. Boop. Okay, so I want to start going through the... Knight says, I asked the head of the IT department. He said it's fine for me to watch streams at work. Are you also the head of the IT department? But yeah, we're going to go through the bug queue. Now, a lot of this is watching me scroll. Knight is the head of the IT department. So I have already been through the first couple of pages, so I'm not expecting it to be a huge amount that we need to work on. But we're just looking for stuff that will be relatively interesting for me to work on stream. So I'm not going to update the morale documentation on screen, because that's just not going to be interesting in any way, shape, or form. So this one, they had a save that won't open, and I want to double check to see, have they replied to me yet? Let's find out. They have not. Okay. If you ever open a bug report, make sure you keep an eye on your email, because you will be emailed by GitHub if there's ever a reply to it. And if there's a reply to it, it generally means that we're asking for more information, and it means that we can't action your bug report if you don't let us know the details. Pathstrider is using the flash fried emote, which, by the way, if you are a follower, and I hope you all are, you can use the fancy flash fried emote, which is the persona of one of our characters on the weekly MekHQ campaign, the hero of the campaign. Multiplayer Stratcon. That is a dream. That is a dream. Multiplayer Stratcon. We are not doing that today. We are not doing the multiplayer Stratcon today. That's not a today thing. Looking here. Field training will raise a pilot to veteran. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So what's the report telling us? I've already read this report, so I can summarize it very briefly. That basically you can get too high when you're training with unit deployment training. Radar says, oh, finally played MechWarrior 5 Clans this morning. Wow, it's different from MechWarrior 5 Mercs in a good way. The trial position was fun. Love the fact that the pilot portraits are also animated like a proper cockpit camera. No, I adore MechWarrior 5 Clans. What they did with Clans is fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, but I love Clans. I'm really, really happy with what they do with Clans, and I'm hoping if/when we get MechWarrior 6, that they take the lessons they learned in Clans and give us a real campaign. MechWarrior 5 Mercs is stuck in Unreal Engine 4. Yeah, no, that's true. I I'm not an Unreal hater, but I will say Unreal Engine 4 was not a good engine. Tiris is saying the MechWarrior 5 is good now. I'm saving the new DLC for after the release of 51.0. I know I've only not been back long, but I'm trying to keep into the habit of taking a couple of weeks off after the release of a new version, and so I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. I'm going to catch up on the Clans DLC because I've never actually finished the Clans DLC. Training Force Education Time, that's what we're looking for. So I want to catch up on the Clans DLC, and I'm going to try going back to MechWarrior 5 for like the 5th time. Tira says, only saw the cartoons like the day before yesterday. We're still cheering for Chaos Reign. Yeah, no, I unironically love the BattleTech cartoon. I even ran the Somerset Strikers campaign for a buddy's daughter who enjoys BattleTech. And let me tell you, nobody is more horrifically brutal than a 12-year-old girl expressing her feminine rage via the medium of BattleTech. I have never seen more successful death from above and melee attacks than I have when she sits at the table. She is a monster in the best possible way. Let's see here. Okay, so we're just having a look at the processing combat training teams, and my guess is we are using target level rather than target experience rating. So let's just investigate. So I'm just reading through, and this is my old code, and I just need to refamiliarize myself with it. So it looks like we're adding, and we're just going to process training for each formation. Okie dokie dokie. Okay, formation commander. Telling us off if the commander's not existing. Educators gets our education, okay, it's fine. Educator skills, modular success, perform training. You can actually give us who we're training. Here we are, trainees. Okay, this is what we're looking for. So educators can't train themselves. That's one thing. Radar says seeing a Panther with 2 AC2s felt so wrong. I never noticed that, Radar, but I agree with you. That's not right. Who let them do that? Who said they could get away with that? Was it the pirates? Like, where? It was the pirate. Okay. If it's the pirates, Pirate Panther. Okay, I'm less like weirded out because that's the kind of thing. You have a few glasses more of Timbuktu Dark than you should, and you look at the Panther and you're like, oh, I could replace that PPC with 2 worse weapons, and you're like, this is such a good idea. Tira says there's also a stone rifle rhino with a bunch of ACs for some reason in MechWarrior Online. MechWarrior Online just has some weird mech configurations. Trados says it was clearly done with bathtub gin. Yeah. Bear with me just a second. Had to mute myself there before I sneezed right into your ear holes. Okay, so we're looking at training skill level. This is the thing. We're looking at the skill level. We're not looking at the skill experience level. So we're going to boot up MekHQ. Now, the MekHQ is almost certainly going to go to the void, so I may need to quickly reconnect that. I was busy setting up the audio readout in the bottom center of the screen. We've done that as an attempt to limit the amount of content strikes we get on YouTube. So let me just go to MekHQ. You're going to go to the void. I do apologize. You can think of this as a loading screen for MekHQ. It's the great void. There we go. Might as well just scoot that. Oh no, I'm scooting the wrong thing. Scoot you down here. There we go. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and we just want to open up campaign options, so a new campaign. Tara says, joke's on you, I like it in the void. The void's quiet, it's calm. There's no customer service requirements in the void. The blackness is peaceful. Waiting for MekHQ to load. I made the mistake of loading up one of Knight's campaigns. Oh, there we got our first stream boo of the day. Go away. I admire that they add special characters into the little bot messages so that you can't filter it out. I admire the persistence. Okay, so we are going to go to advancement. We're going to have a look at skill options. Specifically, I want to have a look, see what we're looking at here. So freeze regular for most skills. 4 for some of them. Okay, so here's the issue. It's only training into level 3, which might be veteran for some. Depending on, like, it's. I see the issue here. So free is for gunnery. Is if I find actual gunnery, a real gunnery. Here we are, gunnery. Blah, 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 blah. This screen was an absolute freaking nightmare to make when I was doing campaign options 2, and I'm really excited to see what is done with campaign options 2C2. Am I just blind? Can I not see Mech? There it is. There it is. I spotted it. You can do it, computer. Okay. So yeah, regular is going to be 4 for gunnery mech, and we're only going to train it up to 3. But then if you go over to piloting, and we have a look at piloting mech, Tranquil is just here. Freeze regular. So this is going to be green regular. Yeah, depending on your campaign options, basically, it's going to give you different results, and that's not really what we're looking for. So let's cancel out a MekHQ. Let's go back to the void and then to IntelliJ. So let us, instead of afternoon Weissman, let's see if we can get the experience level instead. So we're going to train everybody. Actually, let me have a look. Let's look at the glossary entry. So there should be a glossary entry for training specifically, and I want to see, what does the glossary entry tell us? Training combat teams. Okay. There we go. Vaxman says feeding and watering their chickens before heading out tomorrow for Con Caroliners. I hope you have a great time at the con. I've actually never been to a wargaming con since I came to the US. So let's see here. Training combat teams are essential for improving the skills of your personnel and ensuring they remain combat ready. While deployed, each Monday the commander blah 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 blah. There are some restrictions on skill can be free, the highest level in education, skill -1. Okay, so what do we want to do here? Because here there's 2 issues here. One, we're just getting base target level. PS359 says there's a few in Europe, but maybe not as many. There are loads in the UK. You could probably attend a UK wargaming con every weekend of the summer. Not that the UK has much in the way of summer, but we have lots and lots and lots of wargaming conventions. Jerry says we're about to go to... Oh, you're going to the UK Games Expo. I hope you're having a fantastic time. I really do. I get why... Let us try something a bit different. Let's go for new skill game modifier. Can we do an empty skill game modifier? We can't, because that's going to do that. Because the thing is, I want to get the experience level without the skill data. So we can do that. Okay, now I see how we can do it. So first off, we want to find out what skill are we training. Here we go, training skill. And then we're going to need to get the skill type. All right. Next up, we are going to find out what is regular. And we want regular level. The skill of players at cons varies a lot. Typically, though, they use a Swiss system, so if you win games, you get matched against harder and harder opponents. Oh, you're talking about tournament scenes? I'll be honest, I'm not a huge BattleTech tournament fan. I've mentioned that before. Okay. So what are we getting here? Okay, we are getting skill level, it looks like. That's good. So if we get skill level, level. So this is going to give us the raw level. And we want to see, is the raw level above the target level? And this should enforce us leveling up to regular. We do need to go and do this elsewhere though, because we need to get experience level from educator skills. Tira says, also Illiani, how does this interact with attribute bonuses for rookies? Bear with me just a second, I'll tell you. So under the original implementation, this is kind of like version 2 of the modern training combat teams. Under the original implementation, we factored in all trainee attribute scores, SPAs, etc. And the feedback we received was that basically we were in a situation where we had two choices. Do we factor in the experience level modifiers or don't we? The argument for factoring them in would be that someone who is naturally talented at something would not get as much out of the training as somebody who wasn't naturally talented at something. Whereas the argument for not including them is that everybody's getting the same amount of training. Someone who's naturally talented is just going to get more out of it. In a very uncharacteristic move by me, I opted to do it so that we don't factor in skills of trainees, specifically so that if you have someone with a bazillion bonuses and you put them from training, they're going to come out of the training better than someone who had a bazillion penalties. So it's a very much catch-22. I went with the option I felt would give the best benefit to the players, even if it made the training combat teams a little bit more powerful than I would have liked. Personally, if it was up for me, I'd probably remove training combat teams entirely. I don't know if I still agree with that, but I definitely agreed with it back in the day. Okay, so we are looking to get skills. We're getting the skills list. So we are okay, I'm just trying to work my way through here, figuring out. So profession skills are added as a list into here. So where are we defining profession skills? That's a new hash list. This is adding them in. Hey, here we're finding the best. Okay, cool. So we're already factoring this in, that's good. We actually, though, want to get final experience total skill level. Is that what we want? We actually want... it's experience level that we want specifically. Okay, experience level. Pass that in. So going to move away from skill number level and moving to experience level. So skill level is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in the skill. Experience level, or what I prefer to refer to as experience milestones, is whether you're green, regular, veteran, elite. Right now, training combat teams use skill levels. So everybody will train to skill level 3. We're going to move that to experience level. So everybody will train to experience milestone regular. And that is just it's significantly better for handling player campaign options. Okay, my dogs are screaming their heads off. I need to go investigate that. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I think my dogs saw, I don't know, they saw something, but they're fine. Okay, so we're getting the educator skill level, experience level, I should say. So let's, I'm going to create a variable here. This is something that I didn't used to do, but I definitely prefer it now, is rather than directly getting stuff in the middle of a action like we're doing here, we're just going to go ahead and pass it in. So that's doing that. But what I'm wondering, so part of the process is that we reduce it by 1. So if you've got a veteran, they can train up to regular. If you've got a regular trainer, they can train up to green. What I'm wondering is, where are we putting in that -1? Here, okay. we can do this significantly more efficiently. So what we're going to do is, rather than passing this in here, we're actually going to go ahead and where it says where we're getting the educator skill, which makes up here, we are going to modify it then, because it's not going to make any performance difference that anybody will ever notice, but there will be a performance difference because we're not evaluating it every round. We're just evaluating it when we fetch it. Kind of fine. I can just get experience level. There we go. And in fact, what we're going to do, we're going to scoot up the top and we're going to set a static. So private, so no one else can access it outside of this class. Static int experience level reduction. It's going to equal -1. Then we're going to go back to -1 that we got down here. And we're going to plus. There we go. So now it means if we ever want to change how much we reduce the experience rating by, we just need to edit in one place. We're only doing it in one place. It just means we're not using magic numbers. It just makes the code easier to read. What are you grumbling about? It could be final. Yes, it can. Final just tells the compiler that this value is never getting edited. So let's run the tests and see if everything tests good. And then we're going to run some tests in-game and just make sure everything processes good. If this all works out, we're then going to need to update the glossary entry, but that's going to take 2 seconds. But overall, this is the significance is that this is going to make it make combat training teams reflect the settings an individual player has in campaign options. Tira says, as for the training topic, for skills that have milestones that span multiple levels, it will get to the lowest qualifying skill level and cease. Yes, that's correct. So if you have regular at skill level 3 and 4, it will stop at 3. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Waiting for the tests to run. You can see the tests in the bottom hand corner. We have like 12,000 test cases at this point. Growing every release. I actually think we've lost some because I could have swore we had 15,000 last time I was here. But maybe I'm wrong. My memory is not reliable. In fact, while we're waiting for these tests to run, let's scoot over to Safari and let's see if we can pick something else out of the queue. So let's assign myself there. So we're just going to leave this over to one corner for now. Vessel crew member / aerotech not appearing for aerospace repairs. So vessel crew member shouldn't. But they're queued up with aerotech. So that should... Well, I think we're going to have a look at that next. PS359 says, you want me to get all of those 7/7s you have in your campaign into a training program. The problem is we don't have anybody in the campaign good enough to train them. We tried. We tried that in episode 1. We don't have any training staff. Where's my phone? I just realized I have no idea where my phone is. No, well, wherever it is, it's probably fine. It's not in my pocket. So yeah, we're going back to IntelliJ, and we're just waiting for these tests to finish. It's going to be finished in just a second. And so far, so good. It looks good. So as I say, our next thing is to test it in-game, just make sure everything seems to be working. I'm not sure why so many songs in this playlist have talking in the background, because this is meant to be for streaming, and like I can't imagine many streamers want music talking whilst they're talking. Looks like we are good. So our next step is going to be to run the actual app, which we can get running now. And then we're going to create ourselves a training combat team. We're just going to make sure it doesn't brick. Something else we could do is also check how many other users of get skill level we have. So let's just do that now. Skill. Okay, that is fine. We want to use base level there. Target skill, get level. Interesting. I think this might be an issue here. So we're going to actually stop running MekHQ. I'm going to go through, check the other uses' skill level. My concern is I see we specifically say experience level. Plus one is to account for the next experience level to be gained. No, this is just a typo. This should be skill level. I can tell that just by how it's being handled. Yeah, we're setting level, so we know this is not experience level, which is a derived value. It's skill level, which is a direct value. So what do I mean by derived versus direct? Experience level, every time we get experience level, we calculate it each time. Experience level is not a value stored at the character level. Whereas the skill level, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is stored at the character level. It's direct value versus a derived value. You could also call it a dynamic value. So this all looks good. Radar says it's kind of hard to train pilots if you don't have good pilots good enough to train. Honestly, our best move might just be to send them back to school. But the problem with that is it means we don't then have any pilots. We're down to like a lance. Excuse me, just need to drink some water. Need a good old sippy sip. Let's head back over to MekHQ. Just waiting for this to load up. But yeah, I think that might be the plan. We may have to send them back to school. First, get more pilots and send them to school, Radar says. Yeah, no, that is my thinking as well. We made the mistake of not checking the personnel market before we went on to our first contract. We just got a little bit overexcited. So when we do our repair and rearm period between the end of the first contract and the start of the next, we're definitely going to see if we can recruit some more people. It's just going to make life easier. We're not going to have good recruits. Tira says, low-key, the company generation will be putting 7/7s in combat seats. I agree. I'm not a fan of the company generator, and I don't think I've ever been particularly quiet about that. You might notice there's been some changes here. I forgot that this was going to become live. So yeah, you can see we've had a few changes, a little bit of a facelift. What do we want to do here? So we're going to company generate. Radar says, keep getting me excited to play MekHQ in 51.0. 51.0, assuming we don't screw the pooch within the next... I'm not going to say within the next, because that will give away the release date. Within the next period, insert time frame here. If we don't screw the pooch within the next time frame period here, we should have a really solid release. Tara says, honestly, there's been such a great leaps even between nightlies week by week this month. No, this month's been beautiful. I definitely came back at the right time. This month has been really, really nice. So we're going to create a new force, and we'll call these trainees. And we're going to go ahead and add some units because we just want to add some stuff that the trainees can sit in. And introductory annihilators, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to acquire those automatically. Going to go into GM mode. Make sure they're not transit. Good, good, good. Then we're going to go ahead and add some pilots. And I want ultra green pilots. I'm going to add them to a force. And congratulations. Who are we going to? Mech Warriors. Where's our trainees? Congratulations, Wayne. You are now the Star-Lord. And you're about to get a promotion. Skill-wise. So we're just going to go ahead and biff the gunnery and mech all the way to 10. I'm also going to go down here and we're going to give them training. I'm going to give them 10 ranks in training as well. So they are not going to fail their training checks. We're now going to go to the contract market and pick something juicy out of the queue. It says, gosh, I wish I had 4 annihilators. Right. Can you imagine the fun we could have if we had 4 annihilators in our main campaign? I think one thing I might do is take some steps to reduce the amount of accept, blah, 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 that we need to go through when accepting a contract. I think we have too many mouse clicks just to get started on a contract. So click on the advanced multiple days button, and it is 28 days. I think over time we've just added more and more stuff to the accept contract immediate result. It's just creating so many click-throughs. Okay, so we're going to reveal the sector so we can find somewhere quiet. We are going to deploy trainees, and hopefully they're not going to immediately... Good, good, good. That's what we wanted. Let's go to assignments. Trainees are in training. And then we're going to advance to a new week so we can get the training. Oh, bugger, I forgot to tell them to stay there. Let's put them back. And this time we'll advance to a new week. So if you have them already set in training, they will automatically stay there. So let's go to close this. Let's go to the command center. Okay, so that is training them. We need to do this for a bit because training isn't like you instantly get a skill level. So we just need to advance week for a bit. Hope we don't get any. Got a pivotal engagement. Is that anything we care about? Nope. Dum-de-dum. Advancing to a new week. It's very exciting. Our morale is just plummeting. Go away. We don't want your bloody resupply. Radar says, referring to the Annihilator, that they don't care that the Annihilator's slow assault mech, they just care that it has firepower and armor. I don't want another Charger. Yeah, no, the Charger is just not good. Oh, happy Freedom Day. We need to add one. We need to add a Happy Freedom Day equivalent for Tukiyad Day. The stock Charger is bad. Yeah, no, I'm sure there is one, but I cannot, off the top of my head, think of a good Charger just off the top of my head. I think they're all pretty trash. It turns out if you have an assault mech with the firepower of a medium mech, it's not good. Radar says the A5 and A9 are pretty decent refits while avoiding the use of XL engines. The XL engines are really interesting to me. On paper, they are a trap. Yes, Innosphere XL engines specifically. They are a trap because you lose the side torso, that's it, the mech's gone. But on a campaign scale, because you're losing the unit before engine death, it actually results in the units being more campaign survivable, because it means that when they get taken out of action, they can usually be repaired without losing the entire engine. Hey, Commander's Day! And for anybody unaware, the Commander's Day art, the premium high-quality Commander's Day art, was actually done by my partner. And of course, Me Appreciation Day is our favorite. Tira says XL engines, just different type of auto eject. They definitely can be. But yeah, as I say, at the campaign level, they make mechs weirdly survivable. Pathfinder says, yes, Commander's Day. Yeah, we love Commander's Day. And for anybody, I can't imagine there's anybody in chat who isn't aware, but Commander's Day is a reference to Captain Picard Day from Next Generation. The Commander's Day banner art is even based on the Card Day banner art that's up in the episode in Next Generation. Oh yeah, we're definitely a fan of TNG in this household. So, excuse me. So if you're wondering what we're doing here, we are just advancing Day a whole bunch, and in a second, we're gonna be going to check our trainees and make sure that none of them have exceeded regular. Raider says their mum was a Trekkie and they grew up watching TNG, and as a kid, she loved Picard. I was also growing up watching Star Trek. I will say my favorite captain is Commander Sisko. I know for a lot of DS9 he wasn't strictly a captain, but no, I really like Sisko from Deep Space Nine. Okay, so trainees. We have a regular, a couple of greens, so we're going to need to end this contract because this contract's actually ended now. So we're going to end this contract, and we are going to oh, I think I clicked edit mission. Let me just double check. Did I click edit mission? Yeah, that's what I must have done. Must have clicked that. Okay. There we go. So shout out the rewards, and we're going to go to another contract. We're going to continue this this whole training palaver, and we've got tests. We know it's working as far as the tests are concerned. I am here. What I'm doing is I'm just making sure it works in the real, because it's very easy for well, actually cancel out here. Let's go for the 9-month contract. It's very easy for tests to tell you, hey, this is working, but nothing surpasses being able to just run it yourself and just make sure. 55 days. Oh, I think I forgot to click accept. Vorpal Fish, welcome back to chat, says, I always like the Charger SB, but at that point it barely qualifies as a Charger. I'm not actually familiar with the Charger SB. Is that a Jihad refit? I know one of the good things about the Jihad is that a lot of mechs that were objectively bad are actually pretty darn good. Why won't this let me assign my dudes? When does it start? Start is the 11th to 23rd, 23rd to the 11th. So we should... Okay. Why didn't you guys activate? There we go. Merc-made variant? Okay, that makes sense. Tira says, if you want to see an extremely obscure bug with the edit contract menu, the radix point / comma separation bug I reported in 49.14 still isn't fixed. That doesn't surprise me. Reveal, because we don't want to accidentally... Oh my god! Well, I'm glad we don't care about this contract. Why aren't the trainees allowed to deploy? Because that annihilators are all broken? Not on my watch. Oh, they haven't got techs. That might be why. You'll do. Okay, so let's deploy our trainees, and hopefully they're not going to immediately get jumped. They didn't. Okay, cool. So we're just going to go back to advancing week for a bit. PS359 says the Charger SB is more like an awesome refit than a Charger. I need to check this out. Is it just like Brimton 9s with PPCs, or what makes it? What makes the Charger SB not a Charger? That's what I'm interested in. It's 4 large lasers with a lower grade engine. Okay, I can see that. Okay, yeah. If you're taking I say taking the fast out of a Charger, this is the bigger problem with Chargers. Is a lot of them aren't even that fast. Like, I think people would be less bothered about Chargers being low armament if they were actually fast. Let's just go. We're going to go to a new year. And I know just watching me test this isn't particularly interesting, but I'll hope that you will put up with it. Oh god, they've gone back. Oh no, we need to cancel. It looks like they undeployed, probably due to fatigue. Whoopsie-doodles. Let's see here. Okay, so they're all regular now. That's good to know. What is their fatigue? Probably loads. Let's go into GM mode and heal them to their fatigue. Fatigue loyalty. They got 0 fatigue, so it wasn't that. So it looks like I must have included something that with a. Yeah, they're all 0 fatigue. Let's redeploy them. I wonder if I was smart. Because if I was smart and beautiful, I included a special handler that automatically undeploys them when there's no more benefit to be made. Either that or they're off long enough to heal their fatigue. So let's go to a new week and see what happens. PS359 says you can't really make the Charger any faster than it already is. It has a 400 rated engine and a 480 is experimental and some ridiculous tonnage, but later versions do add a mask and or supercharger to get the run speed. Radar says the Charger 1A1 is a good way to throw an assault mecha at a player force without they need the firepower. Yeah, that's true. Here's what happened. They had a scenario deploy on their faces. We will just ignore that and redeploy them. But I think at this point, they're all regular. So they shouldn't be getting any more good stuff. But we are still attempting to train. We're not seeing the, hey, these people can't get any more benefit from training. That's a concern, because we should be getting that. Okay, we need to redeploy them. And then we're going to go to... Oh, for God's sake, stop attacking my trainees! I need them. Oh, red burn virus is spreading upon my dudes. Whoops-a-doodles. So at this point, we should be getting a message saying that they can't improve any further. And they're only regular. Let's close out of here. We're gonna go back to IntelliJ and we're gonna check that message to see if there's something we can do here. Okay, if educator skills is empty and skills being trained is empty. So this means we have some filtering going on with educator skills I wasn't aware of. Okay, so this means we are training skills. Skills being trained. Okay, so training skill. Here. Okay. I wonder if this is an issue because we're comparing experience level to skill level. We actually need to get target level. So if training skill level is under educator level, and if trainee skill level is under target skill level. Okay, let's go back into MekHQ and see if that fixes it. Just double checking this is good. Yes, this is good. If we have educator skill level 3, it's going to go down to 2. It's going to stop it. So we need actually equal or less than. Training skill level if we're trying to get... No, that is correct. That is correct. Okay. Here is the mistake. There we go. We needed an equals then, because otherwise if they are at the target level, they are not going to get any more training, but the system's not going to report that they can't get any more training. And it should give us the report that, hey, your dudes can't train anymore. Just waiting for MekHQ to get its ass in gear. Once I do get a new computer, like this is actually going to be a lot faster as well, which will be nice. Here's a thing that I've been like tossing and turning in my brain, and I actually would genuinely like some some feedback from you folks while I continue to run this test. So Twitch tells me that I should include a donations box somewhere and set donation targets and all that good stuff. And okay, cool, that's now working. Hey King Mao, welcome back to the stream, and congratulations on your 7-stream streak. And I understand that the Knight also has a 7-stream streak, so thank you very much for both of you tuning in. So jumping back to what I was talking about, so we now know this is all working. Basically, Twitch is telling me that I should set up a tip box, and I should set tip targets and all these things. And I don't know, because there's something about that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Because when you guys subscribe, and I say this every time, but I do genuinely appreciate every subscription. When you guys subscribe, like that's one thing. But having a tip jar, I don't know, that just feels more like directly asking you guys for money. And I'm just not sure where I stand from it, but it is something that Twitch is telling me I should do. So I guess what I'm asking is, should I do that? I don't know. And I am really interested in what you guys think. Whether it's PS3 Fun then says, well, they probably know what they're talking about. On the other hand, you may not want your stream to be too similar to every other stream on Twitch. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I don't know. I'm just... The whole idea that someone would want to pay to watch me work on MekHQ or do other programming projects or play MekHQ, just... It's still a weird thing to me. And just the idea of setting up a tip jar just feels very... panhandling, I think is the term. Let's create our branch. We do need to update the glossary entry. So let's go to training combat arms. Tara says it wouldn't bother them. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna... I'm based on what you guys said, but... PS3 Finances, I kind of wonder if people are chucking money partially because they're thinking, wow, how refreshing a Twitch stream who isn't asking for cash, right? It's the thing, because like I'm doing this because I want to share the joy I have in programming with you all. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just quickly reading through the rest of this. This should be good, so we'll just update that. And let's enter in our title, updated training combat formations to use skill milestones instead of skill levels when determining trainer there we go, that should be good. I am reading. I know I'm committing the cardinal sin of stopping talking in the middle of a stream. I am reading everything and I'm just kind of weighing it in my mind. I might not give you guys a direct response immediately, just because I'm thinking things through. It might not have been Twitch. It may have been Streamlabs. Because I'm so new at this, I have to have a habit of conflating the two. So it might have been Streamlabs. I just know it was one of the sources said I should do that. And I know Streamlabs does do donations directly through Streamlabs, so that's probably where it came from. I just get a lot of emails saying, "Hey, want to level up your stream? You should do this." Oh, got a little additional space there. Let's get rid of that pesky little typo. So one thing to consider here, like the initial request from the user was that it was possible to get pilots to veteran through training forces. Now that is actually technically possible and intentional. If the pilot has a whole bunch of extra modifiers, then it can still take them above what they would normally be maximumed. If you check the glossary entry for that, that is actually a deliberate choice. Let's go to title. Psychedelic says, I'm thinking it might cause issues, at least for the dev streams. A Microsoft person might mistake it for accepting donations for development. This is why I'm very, very clear with oh, hi Bandit, sorry for the bump. Bandit is leaping into his cat tree. I'm very clear that these are personal streams and they're not affiliated with MekHQ or the project at all. Yeah. What am I doing here? It's also why I made sure to get Hammer's permission before I started streaming. Hammer's been with the project long enough that if there was going to be a problem, he would have mentioned it. Let me think. This created an issue with player campaign settings. If they did not have level 3 set as regular, then their training formations would be less effective. Now we directly use trainer, educate, let's call them educators, educate or experience level, and cap it at regular. There we go, and yeah, I guess we'll classify this as a bug, though it's going to be marked as a low one, and it is definitely Stracon. PS359 says, any possibility of tying this training combat stuff into the Cadre mission? No. So, how Cadre missions used to work is that you were required to deploy a certain number of training formations as part of the contract's obligations. That basically meant the employer was paying you to train your forces, where it's meant to be that the employer is paying you to train their forces, which is why we added the I can't remember what we called it. Maybe it's combat formation type, because there's a special combat formation type. Force formation type is good. Let me see here. We're back to IntelliJ. I could have sworn. Oh no, this isn't what I'm looking for. But yeah, basically there is a special training combat formation. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. Or not. I'm not okay. It's proving to be a bit of a pain in the ass to track down. But basically, there is a specific combat team type that you need to use on Cadre, and that represents your forces training the employer's forces. I wonder what we called it now. Roll. That's what we're looking for. Cadre. Okay, it's literally called Cadre. Yeah, it is indeed called Cadre. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad we got there in the end. Well, that was a waste of everybody's time. Okay, let's go back to Safari so we can have a look now at our next bug. I'm just going to mute myself very briefly while I have a little sippy sip of my water. I've already had my coffee ration for today. Psychatic does make a point though about we need to be more obvious that these are not official MekHQ streams. I will make sure in my stream announcements moving forwards that I am very explicit they are not affiliated with the MegaMek team. All opinions expressed are my own and not reflective of the MegaMek team. That's what we'll have to include. Okay, so this is a pain in the ass. So we've got here a situation where for aerospace jobs, so it looks like they're trying to repair an Eagle aerospace fighter. Depending on the order of vessel crewmen versus aerotech, they may or not appear, or they may appear twice in the list. So the user very kindly gave us a save, but we're actually going to create it ourselves. Now, I like using real data for testing a lot, but in this instance, we're going to create our own test situation, because that means I don't have to scroll through an entire campaign's worth of stuff. I can go straight to the issue and just verify, does it occur in isolation? Not Igor Aerospace, Eagle. So as I say, what we're doing now, we're going to verify, is this happening in isolation, or is it potentially something unique to their campaign setup? So we're going to use the veteran preset. And this is going to we're going to very quickly see this happening. Like if this is a general problem, it's going to be appearing immediately. If it's not a general problem, then we need to load up the campaign and see what maybe is interacting oddly. I'm also thinking, because I can set up a webcam directly on Bandit, my cat's bed, and because I don't want to be appearing on webcam, at least until I look more feminine. But I could set up a cat cam, if a mad cat cam, if you will, if that's something that'd be interesting to you guys. If you guys would enjoy being able to watch my cat sleep, occasionally lick himself. Let's see here. We want an aerospace fighter. You'll do. Cat cam is good cam. Okay, I can look into that. I might have that set up for you tomorrow. It depends on how good my webcam is. It is a Logitech, so it shouldn't be terrible. But I'm not wholly sure how not terrible it is. So we're going to get a couple of aerotechs. 1, 2. Let's see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and edit them. And we're going to give them some vessel crew member stats. And we're going to test them in a couple of stages. The first stage is testing, like, if they are just aerotechs, is it still an issue? So let's give them tech vessel. Doesn't really matter what skill we're giving them. There we go. Okay. So let's break our aerospace fighter. Doobie-doobie-doo. We got some repair tasks. Edit damage. I really don't like this screen. Let's break the avionics and the fire control system. Okay, we're now going to advanced day. I need to make sure I don't have MRMS running on new day. I do, so that needs to go off. So we're going to advanced day because this is going to create a save that we can come back to. So first up, are they appearing twice? They are not. Okay. So our next test is to give them the vessel crew member secondary profession. Which it says they don't have. Oh, there they are. Oh, it's considered combat. Okay, fine, whatever. We're going to advance day again. And they're still not appearing twice. So now what we need to do, the final test, is we're going to give them how do I unassign second profession? That is a very good question. Let us see if we can find out. Oh, I think it's under civilians. None. There we go. Okay, and we're going to make that primary profession vessel crew member. They shouldn't appear, which is correct. And we're going to make their secondary profession. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. We're going to make their secondary profession aerotech. So according to the bug report, they should now appear twice. Okay, so there is a bug here, but not the entire bug. So if we go back to the bug report itself, let me switch that over. So they're reporting that if the secondary profession is aerotech, they don't appear as a tech available for aerospace repair jobs. But if their primary and second professions are swapped, so they are mainly in aerotech, they appear twice. We're not seeing that part, but we are definitely seeing them not appear if their secondary profession is aerotech. So let's go over to IntelliJ. And for starters, we need to figure out where the devil this code lives. So I'm just looking at the repair bay. It's going to be somewhere near show all tech types. Trek types, not quite. And it's the repair tab we want. So somewhere near this button, there should be... Oh, IntelliJ's struggling. So we are specifically looking for the tech table. Tech table. Here we go. So now we're going to look for where we're adding the techs. And it's going to be in text model. And that is here. Okay, where are we adding in the techs themselves? Get tech at, that's the ad. Look at it's just telling us what we're getting. But where, oh where, are we fetching the techs? So this here is just adding in a bunch of tech stuff. Are we passing in the tech, or are we initializing it here? This is the question. Display skill levels, yes, good. It's going to get tech at the values. All right. And this is good in description. So it has to be on repair tab. Somewhere we are passing in the text. So we need to see where we're populating the table. Okay, this is getting selected tech. That's not helpful. Tech table, update tech target. That's not quite what we're looking for. Okay, this is do task. This is getting the tech to actually do the thing. Ah, here we go. Refresh text list. Okay, so it was refresh text list. Okay, so we're getting text. So this is the method that we're using to fetch the text. And my guess is we're filtering out people who are primarily okay, we're getting active personnel. Okay, so this is filtering people. If we're expanded, we're using get tech expanded. Otherwise, we're just using get tech. I think in this instance, we're going to be using is tech. So let's have a look at what is tech does. Is tech mech, is tech aero, is tech mechanic, is tech battle armor. So it is tech aero. So this should return true. So here's the question. Are we ever hitting this breakpoint? Let's relaunch MekHQ in debug mode. PS359 says hairball production 33 out of 100. Oh, that's a good point. I can guarantee first time we start streaming in the Mad Cat cam, Bandit's just going to throw up. He's just going to jump into his bed and just puke right on stream. So, we're going to load last save, and we're going to see if this breakpoint is triggered. Are we correctly checking whether they're an aerospace tech? Because again, aerospace techs should be visible, even if they have a secondary vessel tech profession. That was a restriction we waived a while ago. Okay, so we are hitting the breakpoints. And it says they do not have the skill tech aero. I suspect we are triggering this. This is my suspicion right now is that we are triggering this for everybody in the personnel market. So this is going to be a pain in the ass. So let me just click past this, and then I'll switch back to MekHQ, and I'm going to advanced day. I wonder if we recruit everybody out the personnel market, we can depopulate the personnel market, and that will stop this from happening. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, this is triggering for everybody in the personnel market because it's evaluating what their profession is. This is getting very tedious. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop being in dev mode. I am going to do a couple of things. So we're going to have name here because this will show us who we're actually working with. We're going to relaunch MekHQ in default mode, and I'm going to empty out the personnel market. Because this is one of the reasons why we don't load the personnel market when the market itself isn't accessible, because it just adds so many extra processes. Because every character in the personnel market is a bona fide person object, just like someone in your campaign. It's another reason why we have to be very careful of how many people we have in the personnel market at any given time. Because it can create a good chunk of processing. Let me switch over to MekHQ so you can have the enjoyable sight of watching this whole thing load through. No class definition error found. Oh, bloody hell. Grumbly grumbles. Did it let us load in regardless? It did not. It just bricked. Okay, why did you brick? Am I accessing a name that I shouldn't have? What have I done here? Where's the evil green text? Interesting. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's triggered this. I do wonder if it's this. Let me just get rid of this. This might have broke it, but that doesn't seem likely. Because a string object can accept a null, so if it's a null value, I'd anticipate that it would just throw wobbly. I have experienced loading issues that are exclusive to running in IntelliJ. So I do wonder if that's the cause. That could well be the cause. We can test that by just, if this breaks again, we'll just load the save normally and that should be fine. Because that's a generic Java bug. So I don't know that that's going to be the root cause of what we're experiencing. So going over to MekHQ, see if we hit the bug again. If we do, our next step is to just load the campaign like normal, rather than using load last. If it does turn out to be a signing name, then I am very interested in why that would be the case. It looks like it might have been. Okay. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the recruitment, which is now living over here, and we are going to recruit everybody. Close that. Go to personnel, and we want everybody except our two BattleTech chappies. Get rid of these. Shoo. Okay, now, if we close out of here and reload, we're only going to be dealing with these two, as we're not going to be attempting to load the entire contract market. So I'm going to boot MekHQ back up, this time in debug mode. I'm going to switch you over to IntelliJ just so you're not sitting watching the void. I think, at least for now, I don't think I'm going to go ahead and add a donations button. Or if I do, I'm going to talk to my wife about it. My wife's very smart. She'll know what to do. But I think what I'll do is I will, if I add a donations button, and this is an if, it will just be a little one, so it's not obnoxious. I don't want to have half the screen taken up with "give me money," because that just seems very gauche. And that's not what we're here for. I have noticed that my mic keeps topping out. I need to readjust the mic settings because it's still set up from where my mic was like 2-3 foot away from my face. Okay, so it's detecting that they do not have the BattleTech skill. But why, oh why, Is that the case? Okay, so this is just checking, do they have the skill? We know they have the skill. Okay, rather than breaking on every instance of that thing loading, we're going to break on the explicit call itself and see what's actually being returned by that call. Because the other one that we were constantly getting those breakpoints, I wonder if that's just a loading artifact, which it could be. Breakpoints are incredibly useful, but they're not perfect. Yes, load last save. I'm not switching over to MekHQ just because it's going to jump back to IntelliJ the moment it hits the breakpoint. And I can guarantee I'm not going to remember to go back to IntelliJ. Okay, so we are getting 2 people in the techs. I'm just going through here thinking we're looking for somewhere that is going to then take the return value of this. Okay, so this is determining whether we should check the first roll or the second roll. So that's just going to sort them. So is this. So let's move on to the next breakpoint. Let's see what happens. Do we still have 2 people in the list? And we are returning 2 people. So we know when we call get text, we should be returning 2 people. There we go. Okay. How many people in the list do we have? You're going to tell me? Okay, so we're back here. So we don't need to be in there anymore. We just need... So we can get rid of these breakpoints. We know we're returning 2 people, and there's only 2 people to return. And we are successfully returning 2 texts. So it's got to be in this method here, filter text. What are we filtering? If tech is primary role is not vessel crew, return false. I think that may be the root cause. Because this is assuming that the only self-crewed units are vessels, which is also that's not correct. But if unit doesn't equal no, okay, so this isn't going to return it. So this is going to return false. And if primary role is checked and unit doesn't equal null, okay, again, this shouldn't return false. We can walk for the breakpoints. Okay, so we now need to actually go to the task and click on one. Okay, so units. So we pass by this. This is returning false, so we pass to the next one. Inference units are self-maintained. Yes, they are, but this isn't maintenance. This is repairs. And technically, in MekHQ, infantry units use the same quote-unquote engineer system as vessels, in that one member of the infantry team is selected to be the person maintaining the unit as a representative for the entire team. Okay, so we're still returning false here. Let's just do here because I want to. So let's see if this is going to break out. Okay. So we passed through this conditional. We've passed through all the early exits there, and we've got the skill for working on it. So that's good. So let's have a look. We know we're getting past these. Okay, so let's get rid of these. I can hear my cat snoring behind me. I'm going to see, are we hitting any of these breakpoints? Are any of the early exits here triggering? Oop. We're just going to copy here. Aha, okay. So tech get minutes left is equal or less than 0. That's what we're triggering. MekHQ does not think they have any minutes left. So let's now go and have a look why. Now, is there a hard-coded system that says if you are a vessel tech, you don't get minutes? If engineer and unit doesn't equal null. Okay, well, unit does equal null, and they're not the unit engineer. Reset minutes left. Okay. That isn't always true. I don't know what it's talking about. If tech is expanded, okay, so if there are any type of tech, including vessel crew, we're then going to multiply it. Otherwise, we're just using these. Let's add some breakpoints here. I want to see what we're hitting in this class. So we're going to jump back to MekHQ. We need to get rid of these breakpoints, otherwise we're going to constantly be hitting them every time the UI updates, which is constantly. We don't need that breakpoint anymore. We know that's returning correct. Okay, so now if I click advanced day, it should reset everybody's time. Okay, so they're losing a bit of time, but that's not a problem. And this should cycle through one more time. So what we've done here is we reset everybody's time, so they should have time to do whatever task we need them to do. There we go, everything's checking through. Now this should come back here. We don't need to worry too much about that, because we know we're getting the right number of people. Okay, so let's go back into here. Now it's showing them. So that tells me when we assign someone to vessel crew member, it specifically seems to be vessel crew member. So we're going to go ahead and change their secondary profession to none again. I'm going to test something. So first up, we're going to make these administrators. I'm going to advance day. That's going to hit a whole bunch of this. We know this is always getting hit because something else is reducing their availability time. So go past these breakpoints. Flip over to MekHQ. Okay. So right now, we click on the repair bay. Nobody shows up. If I click on these people and go to primary profession Let's make them a vessel crew member. They shouldn't appear for this. That's good. That's good. That's working as intended. But if I go ahead and change them to a BattleTech, do they show up? They do. Okay. If I make them a vessel crew member, what's the bet they no longer show up until their advanced day? They're still there. Okay, let's remove the secondary profession, because you can't double up and have two of the same professions. Let's make them vessel crew members. Okay, they're not visible because they shouldn't be. That's fine. But now if I make them secondary professions, BattleTech, they're not visible. But if I advance day, they're still not visible. But why? It's like, why is there time? Do I have a way to show minutes? I could have swore I added a way to show minutes. Okay, so they have minutes. But something is causing them to return false here. So I'm going back into IntelliJ. We're going to add some more things here. I'm going to go back to the repair tab. Or human resources, I think. Yeah. And we know this is returning true. So go to repair tab. And we know filter text seems to be the one that's causing issues. Let's comment this out. So advanced day in here. So it saves. We're going to come back into MekHQ. You can't see this, but we're coming out of MekHQ. We're going back to IntelliJ. We're going to launch MekHQ in debug mode. And we are going to see what happens. Because my gut is telling me filter text is the problem here. What we then need to determine is what is wrong with filter text. It could be a wonky conditional. That is entirely possible. Because we can see specifically that the texts have time left. So if it's reporting them as having no time, that could be the problem. We're waiting for MekHQ to boot back up. There we go. Load last save. Radar says, as commander of this platoon, I order Private Jenkins to get the coffee and donuts for the entire platoon. So I think that platoon might be defending the commissary. Okay. So I tick on the problem. Okay, and it's still not showing. So if I so something is causing. Let's run this again. Okay, we're not hitting the breakpoint, I don't think, because I disabled it. Okay. So we know. Can we hit this breakpoint? Here's a question. Actually, let's go back up here. This is very perplexing. Let me switch over to IntelliJ. Why, oh why? So if it's not... let me just make sure they're not for some reason getting their minutes. Okay, they still have minutes. I'm not going to show you that, but they still have minutes. Are we getting text somewhere else? We're not. Okay, so this is the only place that we're using get text. What about get text extended? We're just going to create a conditional here, not conditional, just a variable that's going to allow us to double check exactly what is in text check at this point. Now, I don't know if this is going to trigger because it's new code. Okay, it is. So checks tech shows that we have 2 techs in this instance. We're not hitting this breakpoint, so we're going to need to relaunch in debug mode so that we can hit filter text and see if that's going. Because right now, checks tech it has the correct number of techs in the list, which means those techs should be visible. My guess is that we have some kind of, I don't want to say stupid special handler, but some kind of special handler that's causing them to get filtered out after this point. But we're not going to really be able to see that until we go back into the code. Okay, so we're going to load last save, and we're going to check the list. Diddly dum. Which might, the special handler might in fact be stupid. And yes. Yeah, I'm not, I cannot confirm or deny that, especially if it was my special handler. Okay, so we're hitting our breakpoints. Let's jump back to IntelliJ. So this is hitting the breakpoints on load. So we filter text, and the tech list is still 2. So I go to repair bay, I click on the repair task, I click on the thing. Okay, we're not hitting. So this is not the cause. Refresh text list is not the cause. But there's gonna be a way that we filter the text based on the tasks that we have. Filter text. Okay. This, if you ask me, is the most likely culprit. We're going to confirm this. We're going to create a breakpoint here. We're going to go back into MekHQ, and we're going to click on the task and see if that immediately takes us to filter text. It does. Okay. So this is the likely case. So let's see. Okay. So let's find out what conditional we're hitting here. If we're hitting any of these conditionals at all. Ah, damn it. Click the thingy thing. Thank you. Let's go back to MekHQ. You didn't see, I just basically did a whole bunch of breakpoints on the left there. So we're going back to MekHQ. We are then going to go ahead and... Oh, I need to click past the breakpoints. Give me a second. Okay, actually, we don't need to do that because we already paused it. Alrighty, so what we're checking here is, are we hitting any of these conditionals? Are any of these conditionals returning true? We are. This appears to be... So if a tech is its primary role is vessel crew, okay, and the unit doesn't equal null, and the unit is not self-crewed, return false. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say this is false. So this, by all accounts, should skip through every time. is that going to let us see the crews? We might need to restart the... Yeah, we're going to need to restart the debug. That's okay, though. Because really, so the reason why this special handler might be in the code is we used to have a system in place where you couldn't have a character have 2 tech roles. I retired that because it was dumb. And so it is possible that this is a leftover special handler from that. Which in that case would mean it isn't stupid, it's just old. And we missed it. So we're booting up MekHQ and seeing when we hit our breakpoints. And if you've been watching for a while and you haven't already, feel free to give us a good old follow if you're enjoying what you're hearing, enjoying what you're seeing. Follow would mean you get notified of whenever we go live. And we go live 5 days a week. We go live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's daytime for the live dev streams. You can see how programming works. And then Friday evening, we have our ongoing MekHQ campaign. Pathstrider says going to get a crop top that says "not stupid, just old." Okay. So, let's go to the repair bay. I'm going to remove these breakpoints because I don't want the code to keep catching. So bear with me a second. Okay, so going back to MekHQ. Okay, here we go. So that is the clause. That's what's causing it to break. It's that particular line, and they're not appearing twice, which is the other issue. That's what we're going to investigate in a few moments. So let's go back to IntelliJ, and we now need to assess: does the line we edited out need to exist anymore? No, it doesn't. So we can just straight up remove that. Because we only need to check is that are they the right tech for the part? This is going to require a couple of things though. First up, we need to run some tests. Is MekHQ about to complain the moment we push this? And while we're waiting for that to run, we're going to go over to Safari. And we're going to download the player's campaign. And we're going to see if we can replicate their double tech bug. Did that download? Nope. There we go. Waiting for the tests to run. The tests are rather essential, so we got to wait for the tests to run. That's my testing song right there. I'm hoping to go platinum on Spotify. Well, while we wait for these tests to run, because I think this is probably going to solve up this task. And we've still got a couple hours left on stream, so let me go back to Safari. Let's pick out our next victim. Let's go to the issues list. Alphabetization of names in HangaView. Oh, God. What's going wrong here? In HangaView, when you sort by name in either the assigned or the tech crew column, it will sort by rank first and then by name. Interesting. Oh, okay. No, that is working as intended because it's sorting by the value in the column. It's using first name. Okay, so the issue is it's not that doing rank, it's using first name. We can definitely fix that. Sorting by last name is not what I want here. So I think what the user, I agree. I think what the user's asking for specifically is it continues sorting by rank, but then sorts by their last name. So it's sort by rank first, and the secondary sort is by last name. Whereas right now it's rank first, and the secondary sort is by first name. What do people think of that? While we're thinking about it, I'm going to go back to IntelliJ. Tests are chugging along. But I can see the use case where you have a list sorted by rank first, and then the character's surname, and then we can sort by first name last. I think that would make sense. Chill music. And these tests should just finish up now, and it looks like everything passed, so we can go ahead and prep our push. Oh no, we need to Radar says, I mean, it honestly depends how people prefer to sort names. Some people prefer to sort by first rather than last. Yeah, I'm torn on this. I see the value, but I also see why people wouldn't want it that way. PS359 says, I agree that rank last name makes sense as an order. You could run into issues with certain names, as in some cultures the surname comes first. Did the music get real crunchy? It is literally part of the song. Yeah, I can skip this one. Yeah, no, it's lo-fi. For some reason, lo-fi music artists like to put on this kind of filter as if you're listening to it for a record player. I don't know why. We can actually change. Let's see what our changing options are. Let me have a look. Because Panda Beats, which is what we're using, does give us a few options. So let's see if we can find something a bit juicier. Give me a second. I'm going to pause the music while I can just listen to some that's a bit too hardcore. Oh, that seems cool. Okay. Let me do this. Give me a second. Music shall resume shortly. There we go. I wasn't really feeling the lo-fi either because it had a lot of like talking clips, and it's not really what I want. But the reason why we're using Panda Beats is that what's the word? They specifically state that if you get copyright claims, tell them and then they'll beat them up. Radar says, what about clanners that don't have blood names unless they earned it? Then it would sort by their first name because they're... Actually, no, it might not. It might count as... Yeah, honestly, I think this is going to just cause more problems than it'd help. So let's just tell the... use this. So we're just letting them know our reasoning. There we go. It's a bit of a not broke, don't fix it, Tara says. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think if everybody had surnames, it wouldn't be a problem. but because the critical issue is the clans. The clans would sort so weirdly under that I don't think it would be beneficial to anybody. Okay, back to IntelliJ, because we fixed our bug. Oh no, we need, I keep forgetting, we need to run the player campaign and see if the bug persists there. Specifically, I'm looking for their double character bug, because I haven't seen that at all in my testing. Radar says clanners have to be a special edge case. Clanners always have to be goddamn special. Like, they are the universe's special snowflakes. Is that the one I just downloaded? It is, okay. No, Radar makes a very good point about not using snowflakes, because I don't think the term special snowflake is inherently a bad phrase, especially when not used directly at a human being. But I do think the term snowflake has just been... It's been poisoned by... And again, we try to keep things politics free, but I do think the term snowflake has become a poisoned term by a certain minority. Okay, so let's have a look at our eagle, who is appearing. Why are they appearing twice? Can I just jump to the person? I can't. Because they are clearly appearing twice. Yeah, so this is the bug that they were reporting. Let's go to text. Now, who are we looking at? We are looking at Bridget Degano. Okay, so first things first, are they appearing twice in the roster? They are not. So let's... I need to actually go to all personnel here. And for the sake of my sanity, we are going to go ahead and get rid of a bunch of people. Because we only want Bridget so they're not polluting the pool. Okay, go to repair bay. They're definitely appearing twice. Okay, so let's make them... So currently they're an aerotech vessel tech. So let's give them civilian of none. Do they still appear twice? They do. Is that then? I'm wondering if there's some kind of persistence in... Make them a soldier briefly. So now they shouldn't appear at all. They are still appearing as a tech aero. But there is no tech aero. Is it something to do with the fact that they're assigned to a dropship? It is. Okay, so what is happening is it's picking them up as an engineer and picking them up as a... I think we found the cause. So if I change them back to an aero, support aerotech, they should appear once. They do. If I change their secondary profession to vessel crew member, do they appear once? They do. If I assign them to a unit, I'll make them the star. So the reason why I make everybody Star Lord is it means that in any comparison between who is the highest rank, it will always have them on top. So we're going to assign them to a unit as crew member, as the leopard, go to repair bay, and now they appear twice. So what's happening is it's picking up them as an engineer first, and then it's also picking them up as a BattleTech. There is a very easy way to fix this, by changing it to we can't change it to a hash set, but we have options. So we need to find where we are. If unit doesn't equal null, and unit is self-crewed, it looks like they're attempting to fix this here. But the issue is not being picked up here at all. Let me just have some water. So I'm actually going to nip over to the Safari because I want to mark myself as picking this up. Head back to IntelliJ. So I don't want someone else to be coming along and trying to investigate this. I should have done that earlier. Okay. What is happening here? If unit doesn't equal null, which it doesn't, but what unit? Selected serviced unit. If this doesn't equal null, and the unit is self-crewed, this unit is not self-crewed, so that shouldn't pick it up. So that's fine. And we're checking here for the right tech. Okay, that's all good. We need to go back to where we're adding the techs. Here we are. This is where we're doing it. We're specifically adding in the engineer. So here we're fetching all the techs, and then here we're adding in the engineer. What we need to do, if techs contains unit get engineer. So here's the tech, and we're going to add an exclamation, which means not this. So if this equals true, if it already contains the engineer, we're not going to hit this line. Whereas if the list doesn't already contain the engineer, then we're going to add it. So let's launch MekHQ and see if that fixes the issue. Waiting for MekHQ to boot. I hope everybody's having a good day. And sorry for the finances discussion earlier. I don't know if it was awkward for you guys. It was awkward for me. I have such anxiety around money, and I don't like the idea that I'm coming to you guys asking for money, and so that's the whole concept just makes me uncomfortable. But at the same time, I understand that I am now a Twitch streamer, and generally speaking, money is part of that whole thing. I do agree that I need to make it more obvious that these are not official MekHQ streams. Whilst I am programming MekHQ, I wouldn't be surprised if at later dates I program other stuff at the same time as well. But yeah, yeah. Pupstrider says it wasn't awkward. Terrace agrees. Yeah, it's awkward in my brain because I think I still hold the opinion like I don't personally find myself particularly entertaining, and so the concept that people would want to give me money just makes me feel weird. Okay, let's go to repair bay. They're only appearing once. Good. So it's only appearing once, but what we want to do, we also want to break the dropship. Ciao. Let's go and GM mode, please. Let's break our dropship because I want to make sure that our engineer is appearing for the vehicle they actually crew. So there's the Leopard, and they are. But it's a different person. Let me go to personnel. Where is... we can actually sort it by unit assignment. Leopard. Bridget is a sergeant. Let's make them a Star-Lord. Okay. I need to step away for a couple of moments. My dogs are screaming to want to go outside. It's what they do. I am terribly sorry, everybody. The stream is definitely not ending. Let me switch back to IntelliJ. Everything is booting up. I imagine I lost basically everybody. I do apologize. I have no idea what happened. Basically, whenever I would click start streaming, OBS would just utterly shit the bed. And yeah, so I am terribly sorry to anybody who got kicked. Well, I suppose everybody got kicked out of stream. We are back now. Let me... this is going to take a couple of seconds for me to get everything back online. So bear with me. We will be back in just a second. We're just getting everything set back up. I should get like a technical difficulties scene. Okay, so we have music. Music's back. I am going to test something. Okay, that's all good. Okay, everything seems to be back now. It says nothing is playing. I assure you that will refresh in a second. Sorry about that, everybody. Are you all back now? Is everybody good? Okay, cool. Let me just put an announcement in Discord. Grumbly. Okay, so that's that set up. Let me switch over to IntelliJ, which is currently in the process of recovering. Okay, that's good. Oh, Bandit, you can't walk across the keyboard. Jesus Christ. Go. Shoot. Trying to see what... Because it looks like it's doing good now, but... that was frustrating. I'm just checking my storage, making sure that I'm not just... Yeah, everything's good. I haven't capped out my hard drive. Okie dokie. Well, we're back, and that's the only thing that matters. All right, so the issue we're now having is that it's not showing the right tech. But I don't know if that's an actual issue with the save that we were running or the change we made. So let's boot MekHQ back up. It's not just the life of a Twitch streamer. Like, dealing with technical issues, from what I understand, is just part of the course. I just hope everybody's realized that they can come back in now. This is why I need to set up a dedicated Discord for this channel, so that I can just do an @here, hey everybody, we're no longer experiencing technical issues, mea culpa. We don't really have that capacity right now, and it was definitely OBS, because the rest of my computer was just running relatively fine, but for whatever reason OBS was just capping out. So we're just loading up MekHQ again, and we're going to go to the hangar because okay, I need to give me a second. I need to reconnect MekHQ. There we go. There we go. Okay. So tech crew is the right person. So if we go to the repair bay, are we going to see the right person? We're not. Interesting. So why is there showing the wrong person? Now that is only showing one person, and that person is not the correct tech. Let's advance day. Is it something weird like that? No, okay. So let's go back into IntelliJ and see if we can figure out why we're showing the wrong engineer. So we're going to start by removing this conditional we put in a second ago. Because that's going to tell us, is the change we just made what's causing that? I would like to think it isn't, but it's 5 seconds to reboot MekHQ and just see. Let's have a look at the stream. It does look like, I mean, according to stream, it looks like most people have found their way back. Again, I am so sorry about the technical issues. I'm hopefully getting a new computer soon, but I don't know that it was a computer issue, because as I say, the rest of my system was running fine. It was just OBS was just crapping the bed. So we're switching back over to MekHQ. Yeah, I think I might have to have like an emergency scene that just says technical issues, please stand by. I know exactly. In my mind, I've got there's actually a slide you used to be able to see in UK television that would be basically that. You don't really see that anymore. Okay, so this is still showing the wrong tech. We go to the unit, and it's showing the right person as the tech crew. But we come here, it's showing the wrong person. So if we go back to personnel, let's find our Star Lord. And it's basically this is the exact reason why we do this. And what we're going to do, we're going to change their secondary profession to none. And we're going to change their primary profession to vessel. Jesus Christ, help us if I can click it. Primary profession, and let's make it a vessel crew member. Okay, go to repair bay. Alrighty. What on earth is going on here? Because it could be. So the engineer's right. Something very bizarre is going on. Because the engineer's right, so it should only be fetching the tech crew. And we now know it's not this change. Something else is affecting it. So we're going to save this. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to go to the get engineer method. And we're going to have a look to see if we're calling that from within the repair tab. And I can see that we are already. So give me a second, because we're already calling it in the repair tab and also human resources. Okay, that's getting text, that's fine. Okay, that's all good. So if unit doesn't equal null and unit self-crewed, tech equals get engineer. It's gotta be something in filter tech. If unit doesn't equal null and unit is self-crewed, if it's not a vessel crew, so let's check, is primary, there it is, there's the smoking gun. We're specifically only checking if their primary role is a vessel crew. If their secondary role is a vessel crew, they get rejected. There should be a method specifically. No, that's going to be check tech. Okay. Do we have a has profession? Doesn't look like it. Has role? Yes. Let's just double check this is working how we think it is. Primary scroll, second scroll, there we go. Okay, perfect. This should now fix the entire issue. So what we've done here is if they're already in the list of techs, we're not gonna put them in a second time. That's gonna stop the duplicate entry. And now we're checking to make sure that the primary tech is being shown. We do need to add in a check that if we have a unit that is a self-crewed unit, that we're not adding in a whole bunch of extra people. But that's okay, we could do that in a second. One bug at a time. But yeah, the primary role, the fact that we're only checking the primary role, that's our smoking gun. That's exactly what's causing this behavior. And that's going to herald back to when we only allowed techs to have one profession. Because at that point, there was no need to check if they had a secondary role that was technician. They only need to check the primary role. But that's no longer the case. So we go to the repair bay and go to our leopard. Okay, we're still seeing the ultra green. That's okay though. Because if I go to the hangar, I want to see where is the button to show everybody? Oh, I think it's under personnel. Let's go to large vessel crew. Where is it? There it is. They have a clown aboard their jump ship, their drop ship. That's fantastic. They've got a clown, a morale officer, a civilian debriefer, a data intercept operator, a swimming instructor. They got a goddamn clown. Oh, that is fantastic. I have to go to we have to go to Safari. There we go. They have a clown as one of their crew. That is magical. Okay, let's just jump back to this. So we're still seeing the extra people in. That's okay. Everything else seems to be fine. And looking at this, the extra person is their only other vessel crew member. So we just need to make a check that if they're a vessel crew member. Yeah, okay. So this is going to be a relatively easy check. We might just need to undo one of the changes we've made, but that's okay. PS359, welcome back. PS359 says, send in the clowns. The Clowns would be a good mercenary company name. Okay, so we're looking at what changes we make here. Okay, so this is the most likely change. So we're going to restore this, but then we're going to go into the editor. I'm just going to check the flow of logic here. So again, here it is. It's only checking the primary role. So really what we want to do is if the unit is self-crewed and tech does not equal unit get engineer, return false. Okay, that can potentially cause a null point error. That is okay, because what we'll do is we'll just add this little bit of protection here. So if the unit isn't null, so the part is attached to a unit. So if the unit is, if the part is attached to a unit and that unit is self-crewed and the tech does not equal the engineer, return false. We're also going to add a false return if the unit is conventional infantry. Because right now I don't want us to be... no, that's gonna be a mistake. That's not necessary, actually. We're gonna double check that's not necessary, but right now I think that's correct. So let's boot up their campaign again, and hopefully this should solve the issue. Because if the unit's self-crewed, the part is attached to a unit, the part is attached to that unit is not self-crewed, and the tech is not the unit's designated engineer. At that point, we want to reject the character. And this should show us just the engineer rather than everybody. King Miles says they have a sneaky suspicion that their dropship is unusually compact compared to other dropships of the same model. The dropship is on the way to Nadir Station 13. The clown in the personnel civilian options is actually straight up, it is a Space Station 13 reference. So it's still showing Spaceman Recruit to respawn it here. So there's advanced stages to make sure that list is cleared out. Okay, so we still haven't fixed the issue. Let's just double check. Okay, so the Eagle is fixed. It's just that we're seeing non-engineers in the... Oh, I know what I've done. No, that is correct. That is correct. The unit doesn't equal null, and the unit is self-crewed, and the tech does not equal the unit get engineer. Return false. It's an order of operations issue. We need this here. This needs to be the first check. There we go. So, first up, if the unit doesn't equal null, good. And the unit is self-crewed, also good. And the tech does not equal the engineer, we want to return false straight up. Unit equals tech get unit. This is an unnecessary complication. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Apologies. Whoop. I think we can just skip this entirely. And we just check if the unit isn't null and the unit is self-crewed and the tech does not equal the engineer, return false. Otherwise, if the tech isn't the right tech and we don't have show all tech selected, return false. Okay, that should be the way to do it. I have so many like notifications on Discord right now. I'm sitting at like 5 notifications. Let me just quickly make sure there's nothing exciting. It's Hammer and important people. I will check on the important people later. One of the important people is my Final Fantasy 14 friend, and we're arranging for some fun Final Fantasy 14 action later tonight. I'm going to do some alliance raiding. There we go. Aerospace. Ta-da! We have fixed the issue. Give ourselves a clap on the back. We fixed the issue. We survived the Comstar interdiction. So let's go through. We're just going to review our work because we're touching a bunch of stuff that like doesn't get touched very often. So this is just auto format. This doesn't really matter. And here we're just making sure we're not adding it twice. Let's add a comment here. As we're direct fetching the engineer, we need to make sure that we're not fetching it twice. Otherwise, the engineer may appear multiple times in the array. Okay, so that's just covering our asses there. Next up here, so we actually haven't done any changes in person, so there is no reason for this white space change to be persisted. And over in repair bay, we've significantly simplified the conditional. We don't need this anymore. This is a bug testing clause. So what we can actually do is we could push this as 2 separate bug fixes, and I think I'm going to do that, honestly. It just makes no, we'll do it as one because it does fix multiple issues of the same thing. The youngster says someone is doing some savage raids later. No, I play Final Fantasy XIV for the story chiefly. I enjoy extreme raiding. Unfortunately, our regular weekly extreme raid has now been cancelled, so I need to find another avenue to do extreme raiding. But I enjoy extreme raiding. I'm not willing to put the sweat in and go. I'm not willing to put the effort in and go full sweat to do savage raids. But these alliance raids that we're just doing casual to get. As we're just doing it to get some items that allow us to. Sorry, just checking. Yeah. Otherwise, we may end up. Sorry, we need resources to upgrade our gear. Sorry, I am multitasking, and I am terrible at multitasking. I shouldn't be allowed to. I should have my multitask license revoked. I do want to run some tests, though. So what we're going to do, we're going to have the tests running in the background while we're actually pushing the changes. Shazam and Shazoom. Tires calls me a nerd for playing Final Fantasy XIV. I am not a nerd for playing Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is basically mainstream at this point. I'm a nerd because I play old school RuneScape and Final Fantasy XI. And all I do in old school RuneScape is just bimble back and forth from the bank, mining ore and smithing. I don't even do any of the combat or any of the quests or any of the exciting content. I just mine ore. It's RuneScape classic. Old school RuneScape is my play a game in bed whilst I'm waiting for my melatonin to kick in game. And I just play for like 5 minutes a night. Tira says they're an extremely hardcore Guild Wars 2 player. I used to play Guild Wars 2 a lot, and I fell off. Unfortunately, I fell off at the same time they released their first expansion, and I just never got back into it. I love that RuneScape's name tells you what to do before you log in. Run, escape. The first expansion was 11 years old, years ago. I was in a very different place 11 years ago. 11 years ago, I was still living in Finland. Okay, looks like we've got a failing test, and we'll need to investigate that in a couple of seconds. Which is annoying, because we checked the goddamn test. They shouldn't be failing. Have I even pushed this? No, I think I have. Oh, the push might have failed. That can happen. I think I might actually be coming down with a bit of sickness. My throat's feeling very gnarly. It's because I'm putting all this effort in. I'm allergic to hard work, you see. Okay, it's still pushing. It's definitely struggling to push. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we should be able to go back. So give that a little refresher Rooney. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if I'd actually copied the case number. So I've mentioned this a couple of times, but this is just a really fun thing. If you put fix before the case number in the description, when this change gets merged, the case will automatically be closed. So just what is the problem? We're having some weird interactions between professions and vessel crew members. Multiple professions when combined with vessel crew member would result in the character appearing twice in the repair bay. The duplication was fixed by adding a conditional that ensured engineers were not added twice to the array. And an array is just, in this case, just a collection of things. Fixed. I would love for us to update Repair Bay. The Repair Bay is some of the oldest code. It's very ugly. I'm going to mark this as a bug fix. We're going to mark it as a medium bug fix. And we are going to... It's definitely personnel related. And it's repair related. Which is under parts. And just comment that these bugs. There we go. We can add this case to the list of problems that really shouldn't have taken as long as they did to fix. A princely 12 changes. But that is just how it goes. Like, and this is, we're just taking a brief break here, but this is a good example of why we're constantly saying that, like, just because the problem is easy to conceptualize, because you can think in your head, oh, that's an easy problem to solve, you just need to do this. The truth of the matter is, we just spent, I think, maybe an hour, if not longer, just changing 15 lines total. And 3 of those were just removing stuff. So, like, just because a user can conceptualize something like, oh, you just need to do this, generally speaking, when it actually comes to interacting with how the code works together poorly, it can create what is conceptually an easy task. All we needed to do was check why they were appearing twice in the list. But when you got down to it, there was so much code debt, which, as Tiris correctly mentioned, is being chipped away. There was so much code debt and old assumptions that were hard-coded in that shouldn't have been hard-coded in. And that meant what was effectively a tiny change, which if we're still talking about actual code changes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 8, 9. Yeah, so basically actual code changes. This is a 9-line change. Took us an hour to implement. And the majority of that is just figuring out what is the real cause. So that's that done. Scroll down here. Text color for fixes unable to change. So this is a usability issue. This actually will be a genuinely easy change because we can't actually fix it, but what we can do is make it so that, oh, did we task our tests? We did. So that we can, what's the word? Reduce the amount of confusion amongst the player base. So we're going to boot up MekHQ. We're going to go into MekHQ client options because I want to see specifically where the color change options appear. I like this playlist. This playlist is cool. Like maybe cool is a strong word, but this playlist is nice. It's groovy. Safari. There we go. No, what do we want? MekHQ. There we go. Okay, so we're looking specifically at the colors tab. And what we're going to do, we're going to add a note at the top that says some colors may only be changed in MegaMek client options. So deployed foreground is one of the colors. Deployed foreground. PS359 says, definitely watching my wife do coding. One of her big stresses is not knowing how long it will take to fix a bug. Usually it's faster than she expects, sometimes it's not. So, one of the things that I see a lot of newer developers do wrong, and this is a genuine, like, it hurts their career. Managers want timeframes. And younger developers, and when I say younger, I should say less experienced developers, fall into the trap of the same thing that users fall into, that because the problem's easy to conceptualize, it's easy to implement. Now, even newer developers still have the sense of knowledge that no, that's not always the case. So they maybe like take that into account, but it's like I see a lot of newer developers do is they say, oh, this is only going to take blah. And then it ends up taking far more than that because the problem ends up being deeper than it is. And then that makes them look bad because they told their manager, hey, this is going to take this amount of time, and it took twice that. That makes them look bad. Whenever you're giving a time frame, and you should always try to avoid giving time frames wherever possible because it's a contract. And you should never break contract. But whenever you're giving time frames, you need to take advice from what's his face? Oh god, that's gonna bug me. The engineer from original series Star Trek. Oh god, Scotty. Yes, thank you, King Mal. How the hell did I forget Scotty? You have to take advice from Scotty, the original engineer in original Star Trek. And one of the things he says to Geordi when he visits the Enterprise in Next Generation, he says, you never tell the captain the real timeline. And you see them bring this up again in Lower Decks, the animated Star Trek, or one of the animated Star Treks. And you have to, and this is something that it's really helpful to utilize, and you can take this advice into anything that you do in life. Anytime you're forced in a position where you need to give a time frame, you need to include buffer time. That is, you take how long it's probably going to take you to complete the task. You add on a bit extra, insurance, just to make sure that you're not going to be too over budget. And then you add on some buffer time. And that is so that when you end up pulling it off ahead of schedule, you look like a goddamn hero. Because if you go over schedule, you look like an ass. And this is advice that I've taken to heart over the years, and I found it really helps me in real life. Like anytime you're forced into giving a time frame, oh, how long is it going to take to cook dinner? Oh, it's probably going to take an hour. It takes 30 minutes. When is washing going to be done? Oh, it's going to be an hour and 15. It takes an hour. Add a little bit extra on, because it means you're at a far lower risk. And it's not manipulating or anything like that. It's just making sure that you are at a far lower risk of letting someone down. It's far better to say, I'll be there in about half an hour than I'll be there in 15 minutes and then traffic and you end up taking half an hour. So it's something that I've always found helps me in life. So, when is the next MegaMek version coming out? Oh, it's probably in a couple of weeks. It is far better to say that than to say, oh, it's coming out next week, and then we have to delay it, which is exactly what happened with 51.0. 51.0 got delayed because we had some illness on the team. Nothing serious. I always need to make sure that I'm clarifying this. We're not like nobody's dying, knock on wood. But some of the critical staff members have taken ill, and it's just far better to delay a little bit. We get an extra week of polish than to go at things half-cocked. Okay, so Okay. Good old J text area. Text disclaimer. So we're going to do the old style right now, and we're going to come back and fix this with the newer style of fetching strings in a bit. Because I just want to make sure this is working first. Oh, helps to actually do the new J text area. I always forget how. I just want to add a component. I think this will work. I don't use this layout manager very often. I used to use it a lot, but I find myself falling to other layout managers these days. We may need to double check. That may not work entirely how we want it. We're not setting anything. Okay, let's boot up MekHQ and see if this works. PS359 says the issue my wife has had at times is the timeline isn't just an arbitrary date and time. It can be the final firmware has been done by date X. We've got a few days before that. The container ship leaves the harbor with our setup boxes on it. Right, yeah. Yeah, no, deadlines. Deadlines are important, especially in creative businesses. To make sure that the creatives, I don't like that term, the creatives, to make sure that people that are doing the creating don't get too distracted by trying to create the perfect product. But deadlines add so much stress. I didn't mean to do that. So much stress that doesn't, it would be better if it didn't have there. Just waiting for MekHQ to boot back up because I accidentally clicked the wrong button. Okay, let's go to options, let's go to colors. Yeah, that'll do. Because we're not looking for a perfect solution, we're looking for the solution that's going to work. And it will be significantly harder for us to actually, we can do something slightly better. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go here. We're going to word wrap it. Word wrap. And we're also going to get text. So we're using a new method. There we go. Let's just verify it all looks good. Okay, heading to MekHQ, MekHQ options, color options, once it loads. It's not making it. Okay, it's not HTML. Oh, that's fine. I really don't care. We'll just go with the original implementation. We don't need word wrapping. Boop. Da boop. Added informational disclaimer to direct users to MegaMek client options. Just for colors tab, as not all colors can be changed in MekHQ client options. There we go. A nice, quick and easy one to clear the palette after the last. Wait for that to finish building. Doop doop doop. There we go. mentioned this before, but if you don't wait for the new branch to finish initializing through the various different stuffs, when you click commit, it will actually commit it to main. And we don't want to do that. We definitely don't want to do that. So let's head ourselves over to Safari. We are going to need to check to see why this test is failing in a couple of moments. That's what we're going to do next. We're gonna mark it as closed, not fixed, because it's not really fixing the problem so much as it is papering over it. We're just explaining why we've done something. There we go. It just allows us to close the case off. Okay, we've got about another hour on stream. I'm going to step away very briefly to refill my water, and I'm back in a couple of moments. And I'm back. So back to IntelliJ. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and see if we can figure out why our test is failing. And while I'm waiting for getting everything set up, I just want to clarify something earlier. So the idea of overestimating how long something's going to take, the intention is not to make yourself look good. That was the intention given in Star Trek. But the reason why it's worthwhile bringing this into your real life is it's not so much to make you look good. It's about making sure you're not making yourself look bad by letting people down. And by breaking that social contract that when you say you're going to do a thing by a certain time, that if you don't then do it. That's the reason why you want to overestimate time. So what tests are failing? Everything's failing. Check style's failing. Okay, so let's have a look and figure out why check style's failing. So let's go test all. What did we even change in this PR? I've already forgotten. Okay. There's no reason that I can see that would cause check style to fail. What's going on here? Oh, I see. There's the problem. We accidentally deleted the enum Yeah, that'll do it. Well, at this point, we don't need the tests running. Yeah, if we accidentally delete the enum, the entire enum array just breaks. PS359 says whoopsies. Yeah, whoopsie doodles indeed. Maybe that's a points, like channel points thing we could do. We could have like a little character pop up say whoopsie doodles. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. Okay, so we're back on Safari. We've got an hour left on the stream. Let's see if we can't get something else done. It's funny. I'm just thinking out. I've got 4 dogs. 2 of my dogs, and they're the ones that are screaming earlier and had to step away. 2 of my dogs absolutely love being outside. If they're inside for more than a few minutes, they're like, no, we want to go back outside. We love the outside. My 2 other dogs absolutely hate going outside. They just want to exist on couch, preferably forever. And so when I get up to let the 2 little dogs outside that love the outside, the 2 big dogs on the couch just kind of look at me like just to say, no, mum, please, not the outside. And they look so sad because they think I'm going to make them go outside. Oh, okay. Sleet's already picked this one up, and I'm glad because I don't want to deal with that. I've not been able to figure out what the issue here is, and the users never had it happen again. So that's just a question mark. And I've not been able to figure out what's happening here either. So those are 2 bugs I've already gone over. Allow the option to shotgun marriage. So the intention with that option request is that the player wants to have a campaign option that will automatically marry characters who have offspring together. I'm all for player roleplay. I'm just not wholly sure how I feel about that, which is why it hasn't been implemented yet. I wonder if they replied to me on this one. Okay. PSP59 says also wouldn't really be accurate to lore. That's another thing to consider. Okay. This seems to be a non-issue. Basically, they're saying that they have an unusual formation size. Yeah, so PS359 says that maybe kind of the case of a nobility, but that the shotgun marriage would take place before the offspring. So that's actually a MekHQ limitation. Generally speaking, father is determined at moment of birth. There are campaign options to change that, but yeah. So this issue, just do it manually when you think it's relevant. That's my feeling. Yeah. So this issue is an interesting one. So, not the issue itself, but where the issue has stemmed from. The issue is the player cannot do an official challenge. Like, official challenges are a StratCon thing where you'll get a special scenario where the enemy will deploy a number of mechs and you are restricted in how many mechs you can deploy. Now, you can deploy fewer than that, but you can't deploy more than that. And the way we determine how many mechs you're allowed to deploy, or how many units, because it doesn't have to be mechs, how many units you can deploy is by looking at your faction. So if you're a clan faction, you're allowed to deploy 5 mechs because they're challenging a star. If you're a Comstar or Werder Blake, it's 6 units. I keep saying mechs, but 6 units because they're challenging a level 2. The issue comes down to, and also with Marian Hegemony, we have them deploying in 5s, so we've got that much detail. But the issue comes down to mercenaries. Mercenaries are an inner sphere faction. So, in the code right now, they expect you to deploy to an official challenge a lance of 4 units. However, this player does not use 4-unit lances. And the issue they've got is stemming from the fact that they're trying to have 5, 6, who knows how many, in a lance, and then not being able to deploy that entire force without breaking it up into a 4-man force. So one option would be to have a player override specific for mercenaries. That allows the player to specify how many units are in their mercenary lance. Let's see how reasonable that is to accomplish. Because we've got an hour left. I think this will be a valuable thing, because it would better account for so many of the different organizational toes that players have. What I don't know is how easy it's going to be accomplished, but we can do a feasibility test. We can see what we can do. Tira says, I'm honestly not sure what the issue is here either. It's the enemy issuing the challenge. You ought to adjust their formation type. So it is purely coming down to a usability thing. And it's not just for official challenges. We use force size elsewhere as well. And I like accommodating players. So we're going to just do it. We're going to do a feasibility test. We're just going to see how easy it'll be to implement. And if it's a pain in the ass, we're not going to do it. There we go. What are we looking for? There should be a method somewhere. It maybe is under faction. Because there should be a method somewhere that specifically dictates formation size. Get formation base size. Okay. So we can enter any number here. How many instances of this are being used? It's only being used in 10 instances. This would actually be a very easy change to make. So let's go ahead and make a campaign option for it. For this is going to be an incredibly easy thing to implement. We might as well try. Okay, I need to go check on my dogs. Be right back. And I'm back. I'm sorry that my dogs are being absolute freaking gremlins today. Okay. So we're booting up MekHQ. Oh, it's got to stage the files. God damn it. Oh, we can start getting some stuff prepped. So the campaign options. Do we have a formation option already? What about size? While we're waiting for the data files to boot, we're just going to have a look, see if we've already got any. Because I could have sworn there is a Merc size limit. There we go. Okay. So the idea here is, this is just to try and make things a little bit more usable for players who have unusual forces. Campaign options got so big as a single class, we had to create 3 classes for it. One class handles the campaign options storage, one class handles loading the campaign options, and one class handles saving the campaign options. Oh, we need to... Do we need to do that? What's happening here? This is the markets tab. This isn't where I want to be. Interesting. Oh, I see the issue. I see the issue. Set. There it is. So when you load from XML, everything is a text string. So what we do is we have some methods like pass boolean, pass int, that will take the text string and convert it into, for example, a boolean or an int. And that's what we're doing there. Now here's the question, do we want this in the markets tab? I don't know that we do. I think this needs to be a campaign. So we're actually gonna refresh this. Looks like MekHQ is booted up in the background. So we're gonna have a look and see if we can find a suitable location for our new option. So PS 3.9 is talking about child support. That's when we try to avoid keeping tabs on what individual characters spend their cash on, because once you get down to that, like that gets out of order so quickly. Like, do we really want to be tracking how much each individual character spends on groceries, for example? Okay, so operations is where I'd like to have it. Digital GM, because the digital GM is what is concerning. Yeah, you know what? Let's put it down with SPA chance. Is that actually a good place for it? Not really. It's not really concerning. It's not a market thing. It's not human resources. Logistics seems like the most likely limit. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where is a good place. Maybe markets is. Yeah, maybe markets is the right place for it. Put it underneath fresh campaign contracts. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's the best of a bad bunch. And the good thing is it means we can copy the pity contracts layout. Yeah, I can definitely tell that I've got a couple of the larger classes open. My poor computer's just like, I can't do it, Captain, I do not have the power. Or was the line in Simpsons like, can you reach the controls? Okay, why aren't you? Ah, because you're a label, not a spinner. There we go. So we want the default value to be 4, we want the minimum to be 4, and the maximum is 6. So that's going to keep us within the bounds of existing canonical organizations. Yeah, I think while I'm just commenting on what chat's been talking about, while I'm all for making sure that players' roleplay is supported, I do think there gets a point where there is too much. There's a point of that. Sorry, let me rephrase. I think it gets to a point where there is too much simulation, and we don't need to simulate every little detail. The trick is simulating enough that the simulation feels dynamic, but not so much that you're going down to the breakfast level, as I like to refer to it. The point where you're simulating what the character's having for breakfast. And that's actually why we introduced, why we specifically introduced, what's the word? Blood types. Oops, sorry, punching my mic. That was an April Fool's gag, specifically highlighting that some of the things that we were being asked for at the time for the simulation were just too much detail. The original version of blood types that we were originally going to go with was shoe size. We were originally going to release a update that included individual characters' shoe size. Okay, so that's that. Next up, we need to go back to faction. This is faction in MegaMek. We need faction in MekHQ. There we go. There we go. I'm getting a message. The thing is, I'm getting messages. I have no idea where my phone is. I'm being asked if there's anything I need from the store. Give me a second. Sorry, I'm just getting messaged about what I'm cooking for dinner. So, we need a new public int, get formation base size. No, we are actually going to need to go to campaign. We're going to need to add a little caller to campaign. Just a tiny little message at the end of campaign. So scroll down to the bottom. And public int get player faction land size. No, this is going to be so gross. No, I think we've done the feasibility test. We've given it an honest investigation. We've spent about 20 minutes on this. Having to check if it's the player campaign and if they're a mercenary faction and if they've set their mercenary faction size every time we want to find out how big the player lance is. I think that's an unacceptable amount of conditionals we need to put into, because not only is that just, we can implement it, sure, but then every developer moving forward needs to know that they have to do all those steps before they can get force size. Yeah, I'm going to veto this. We gave it an honest effort. We didn't just dismiss it out of hand. Yeah, so this is unreasonable. So PS3 Frontline says it goes onto the 2 hard pile now. It does not go onto the 2 hard pile. It's actually getting closed. So we're going to go to Safari, and I'm going to decline the request. And let me try it. So I've done a feasibility test for allowing players to define their lance level formation size, i.e. they're mercenaries, but they deploy in level 2s. However, this has added a laundry list of additional steps that would need to be done any time we fetched lance size. Looking into it and having a partial implementation. There we go. Basically, if the real reason, so the real, I say real reason as if this is a fake reason, the main reason why we're turning this down is not because it would be too hard. It's actually very simple. We effectively already had an implementation in place. All that was needed was to hook the campaign option up with the code. The problem is one of maintainability, and this is really, really important, especially in a project like MegaMek, where you cannot guarantee that you yourself will be on the project in 10 years, let alone anybody who is ever involved in something. So if we had to go through 3 steps anytime we needed to find out how large the player lance should be, that is 3 failure points that a future developer is not going to inherently know about when they come to fetch player lance size. Whereas right now they just need to go, what faction is the player? What lance size does that faction use? We're using that. It can be logicked in an in-character perspective as the opponent does not care that you're super special and you organize your lances as level 2s. They don't care. They're saying, I challenge your lance with my lance. And it is up to you, the player, to field a lance. And that's what we're going to go with. So that's the in-character reason, that's the out-of-character reason, and it's sometimes we just have to accept that not everything can be done. We try to do our best for the player base, fulfill the requests that they ask for, but sometimes we just have to, as developers, make a stand and say, no, this is something that cannot be done. For example, make recon evasion stratcon scenarios something functional and or worth enough to play. Like, let's have a look at that. What is actually being asked for here? Okay. So let's say we should add a recommended to run with double blind on the description. Yeah, okay, well, this is something we can do. We can add a disclaimer to the recon evasion. That's not a problem. So let's go to data. So this is actually a data request now. So we're going to go to data, and specifically we're going to go to scenario templates. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Shazam. And we're looking specifically for the recon ones. Covert strike, is that a recon one? No, that's a VIP assassination. Heavy recon invasion, that's one. Don't think there's many. Recon invasion, that's another. Reconnaissance interdiction, is that one? Possibly. We can have a look at it. Okay, so these seem to be the main 3. I know we don't have many of these because I don't like them. Okay, so what we're going to do we are going to add disclaimer. It is recommended There we go. And that's not really too much to ask. It's going to be right in front of the briefing when players launch the scenario. There we go. I don't think that's a problem. I do want, this is also something I've wanted to do, was to try and reduce the timescale factor. I don't like how long it is. These scenarios are far too long. So we're just going to reduce the timescale. I'm going to double check. Is this a double or is this a integer? Let's find out together. It is an integer. So yeah, we're going to reduce the time by half. These scenarios are far too long. There we go. And that should make them a little bit more interesting. Again with the disclaimers. Disclaimer. on scenarios. PSP59 says, which scenarios are referring to? Specifically the heavy recon evasion, and reconnaissance interdiction. So we're going to make them shorter, and we're going to advise the player to turn on double blind. Now, I could technically have double blind turned on automatically, but then I would need to remember to turn it off afterwards, and that's going to be a problem, because then we don't have a way of saying, hey, did the player turn on double blind, or did we turn on double blind? And that's just going to result in confusion. So we're heading back over to... So is Princess actually limited by lack of intel under double blind? Yes, she is. Yes, she is. That does remind me, though, I wanted to double check something. Let's make the map a little bit bigger. Map sheet wide. So let's add an extra map sheet wide and a map sheet tall. So it's going to make these scenarios a little bit bigger as well. Again, this is just to make things a little bit more interesting, because I do find they're a little bit compact, and just going to allow the player to have a chance of actually hiding, or the op4 of hiding. So how Princess's double blind works, it's super fun. Basically, she has a heat map based on where she's detected you, and if she doesn't know you're there, she can't actively see you at any given time, she advances towards your heat map. And if she doesn't have anything on the heat map, she's never discovered you, she advances towards your deployment zone instead. Tira says the heat map is actually magic. It's very good. It is so good. I can't remember who developed it. I think it might be DeGorsman, but it's a fantastic inclusion. Let me get my... Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Shazam. Okay. Do we have any... this is an enhancement. This isn't really a bug. Shazam. There we go. That was yeah, like, what the player was initially asking for wasn't achievable, like adding in a whole bunch of mechanics that we just can't really do. But adding in a disclaimer, hey, you should use double blind for this, that's a good call. Okay, this is something we can look at. Okay, special event, logistical failure. Supposed to reduce parts available by 1 in the old system. However, the new logistic acquisition uses a double system, and -1 actually makes things easier to acquire. Don't want that. So, jump back to IntelliJ. Switch back to main, Shazam. Also sounds like I might not be cooking tonight. I still don't know where my phone is. Like, I have genuinely lost my phone. I keep hearing it pinging. It's going off somewhere. So it's in my office, but I have no idea where it is. We are looking for logistical failure. Where, okay, the actual user did show the report. Logistics failure, not logistical failure. Check under my butt. I mean, it could be under my butt. I did check there earlier and I couldn't see it. Gonna change that. There we go. Could it be under Bandit's butt? I don't think so. Bandit and I are on the dog bed that's next to my desk, and they are fast asleep. Okay, so now let's see with the callers to make sure where we're calling this is actually being handled correctly. Okay, that's all fine. Where are we calling this? Target add modifier. There we go. That's the problem. Because we're adding the modifier to the target number, not to the role. Direction is not the right word. Polarity of contract event logistics modifiers. There we go. That's a nice easy bug to fix. So no, now bad events will be bad and good events will be good. I would love to replace the whole event system at some point, but that's not really on the books right now. But it's an old ATB system that is showing its age. So we've got about another 20 minutes left on stream today. Pushing is taking an unusually amount of time today. Oh, I'm on the void. There we go, it's finally finished. And this isn't really a big bug, so we're not going to mark it high. And we will classify it under logistics. Oh, that's the logistics module, that's not correct. It's an old ATB bug though. There we go. Mass repair, mass salvage doesn't work with infantry and large craft. That's because it was never implemented for infantry and large craft. Training combat's role sizes. This is something I'm not going to implement right now, but it's worth. PS359 says, wait, wasn't Against the Bot mode retired? Against the Bot mode is retired. However, StratCon is built on top of Against the Bot. So a bunch of Against the Bot systems still exist in code because they are required for StratCon to run. Let's see here. So these are two bugs I do want to fix before the launch of 51.0, but they're not something I can really resolve. And give default rank for the enemy personnel on StratCon is again something that we can't really do. Okay, I want to see if we've got any more replies on this. Not yet, okay. We fixed that. Oh, I thought I fixed that. Did I not classify it? I did. Did I not put the fix in the body of the description? I did. Wonder why it's not. Oh, it is showing its link. Jesus Christ. This doesn't use Markdown, so that's why it's not showing. Oh, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. Lamb transport. What's going on here? Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Sorry, guys. There we go. We need to do a rules clarification for this. So, so this is something we're not going to change because, as far as I'm aware, lambs are meant to use aerobays. However, law is not rules, and for this we would absolutely need a rules clarification. Actually, I should mark that as needs more info. Because I'm not going to make rules level changes without rules. I'm not entirely sure what the use case here is. You can just set this to non-combat. What version are they even on? 12. So what they're asking for is already implemented. They just need to change it to support. There we go. So that's done. I am not touching anything to do with the warehouse and parts right now. I am done. New transport cost calculations not playing well with mothballing. What's going on there? This is not a 10 minutes before the end of stream thing. In fact, seeing that we have basically 10 minutes left, crash when accepting contract against clans. I wonder if we have a... Okay, so this looks like it's been fixed. There we go. But yeah. Oh, we're completing mission with mercenary opponent, lowest standing mercenary review board. What? We probably want to address that. But maybe not right this second. I think at this point, it is the end of the stream. Let's switch over to ending soon. There we go. Let's move this down a little bit. Shazam. There we are. Well, thank you all for joining me today. If you were listening along and you weren't already, please consider giving us a follow. It's always appreciated. It means that you get notified when we go live. And if you're feeling particularly spicy, consider the subscription option. Now, nobody's like expected to, but it'd be nice if you did. Tomorrow we have our daytime dev stream. We're probably going to continue working our way through the bug queue. Definitely going to look at that mercenary contract decreases your standing with the mercenary review board bug. That shouldn't be happening. And that's going to be a silly bug, I can imagine, because we should have checks in place that prevent that from happening, so I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But that will probably be one of the ones we do, as well as just continuing working our way through the bug queue and just figure out what the devil's happening. But thank you everybody for joining my stream today. I'm really sorry about the technical issues we had earlier. Hopefully that's no longer an issue. Certainly once I get myself a new computer, that should be a thing in the past. Though I do think that may have been a bug with OBS itself rather than anything to do with my computer. The Cardboard Box of many things is now following. Thank you, Cardboard Box. I'm really grateful for you showing your support. If you weren't already aware, we stream 5 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, daytime streams like this one, where we're working our way through one programming task or another. And then in the evening, so tomorrow evening, you can check what time in the schedule somewhere on Twitch. We are continuing our MekHQ campaign with the Scrotorious Bastards, a Rasselhaig house unit just 5 years before the clan invasion starts. But with that out of the way, I know it's 10 minutes before our scheduled end time, but it's a little bit too late to really start anything of substance. We keep doing this. We keep finishing 10 minutes before the end. But with that, I'm going to wish you all a fond farewell, a lovely good night, and as always, if you're doing your best, that's all anybody can ask for. Good night and farewell.